Today, we are going to be looking into what it's actually like being a Christian in Japan. Christianity only makes up 1% of the population in Japan. So, to better understand what it's like living as a Christian in Japan and to better understand Christianity within the context of Japanese culture, I was able to talk with Pastor Victor from the Potter's House Church in Tokyo to get his perspective on the challenges Christianity faces in Japan. So, Nikkei, how do you get them to stay within the congregation?
So there's two main struggles. The first struggle is, how do you tell people? And so I'm not above doing anything. So I think you got handed a flyer. Somebody gave you a flyer.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have flyers and we pass them out. And I know that in Tokyo, everybody's got flyer fatigue because you're giving people like a recycling project because they can't throw it away anywhere. And so they're just like, oh, flyer, and they carry it home. But it brought us this conversation. So it's worth doing, right? Mm-hmm. So the first thing is, how do we tell people and how do we connect people? And so we do that any way that we can. We'll busk on the street corner. Me and my wife will sing and play just to slow people down and invite people to church. It's not because we think we're good. It's just we're loud. And so that's one way. Personal relationships are the best way. Get to know somebody and invite them to church. Everybody's an evangelist for whatever they're into. Mm-hmm. If you like a new band, you're going to tell everybody, hey, you should check this band out. I mean, we all do that. So evangelism is the easiest thing in the world to do if you're excited about what you're doing. The second thing is an internal struggle that person's got to decide.
Okay.
Right. And so they have to evaluate in their own life whether or not they're going to trust God. That's one aspect, and obey God. So people leave the church because of both of those reasons. Either they don't trust God, or they understand what God is asking for and they're like, I'm not going to do that. And then those people leave, right? A pastor's job is to hold people in the presence of God long enough for them to develop their own relationship with him. That's what it is. So my job is to just kind of keep people in the presence of God until they have a personal relationship themselves. And then revelation takes care of so much stuff. Because once you understand that God knows you personally, the rest of it becomes relationship and not religion.
Okay.
That's what we're going for.
That's really interesting. So, like you said at the start, there's so many different ways to kind of like bring people into the church, whether it's through music, whether it's through personal connections, whether through just something as simple as handing out a flyer. I think those are all great ways to bring people in the church. And like you said, kind of let them decide for themselves. We talked about a little bit about how you can get people to come to the church, to come be a part of the congregation, of the community. What I'm curious though is, how do you get them to stay? Like, what kind of different aspects or things can you do as a pastor to kind of build that trust with your congregation?
So, because for so long we were just a home church, everything was literally done in our house. And so Bible studies, we would have a meal together starting at 7:00.
Okay.
That wasn't like kindness or planning. It's just, we noticed that people were coming straight from work and they were coming hungry. And so it was just meeting a need. It was very apparent that they hadn't eaten dinner. They would show up eating kombini food, or a little, like they'd be walking up the stairs with a bento or something. And so my wife and I were like, we should cook a meal. We have time, we can prepare. And so, we love entertaining people anyway. So we would feed them a big meal. And so we would eat from 7:00 till 8:00. And then the Bible study would start at 8:00 and then go till 9. And then everybody just fellowships and hangs out. And because it was in the house, it was really very casual and very informal. So Sunday mornings when we would have church, we would arrange the furniture so that it looked like a church. but it was still pretty informal. I mean, it's still my living room. There's
Yeah.
half the people are sitting in the dining room chairs, the other half are sitting on the couch, so when we got the new building a couple of months ago, the formality of it increased. So we have
Okay.
like a proper church building with a pulpit and chairs, and it looks like a church service. But we wanted to keep the community. So we're still doing the Bible studies at our house. And after church, everybody comes over to the house and we eat together.
Oh, that's great to hear.
So if you read in the Bible, most of Jesus's teaching with his disciples was done over food. So he would break bread with them and they would talk about things. And if you think about it, that's how families work. They eat together and they discuss the day and they talk. And there's a wonderful warmth about that. And so we do an awful lot of fellowship. We'll do church trips. We'll all go together someplace and go check it out and take pictures and all of that. But really what it is it's just a family. And one of my favorite verses is out of Psalms. It says that God takes the solitary and puts them in families.
That's great.
It's great.
It
right?
is.
And so Japan is one of the loneliest places I've ever lived, and we're living in the biggest city that's ever existed.
Oh, yeah.
So
busiest.
How can you be alone with 38 million people running into you? Well, that's probably why. It's because there's so many people, you just kind of shut down. The next time you're in the subway or in the metro, watch people. Everybody has headphones on. Everybody's looking at their phone or reading a book, and they're just isolated. They're just like, you could be squashed against them and they'll pretend like you're not there. They're just like, I'm in my own little box. You don't look at anybody, and you're just kind of like alone in a city of millions. And so what we do is we see people, we see them, and we get to know them personally. You're not just the dude in my way. You're my brother in Christ. Yeah. And so, it's not like the family is fully functional, because I've got my problems and you have your problems, and there is that friction. I mean, it's just like any other family, right?
That's true.
But it is family.
Okay. I am curious though, just going back a little bit on that. You said in order to create and strengthen those relationships within that family, within that congregation, that you have like, for example, dinners, you have outings, which is really great to hear for that. I'm curious though, for those kinds of activities, because I know for yourself, for your congregation, you said it's a mixture, right? Japanese and I guess foreigners as well. How does that work for communication, or do you have separate groups, or I'm curious how does that work?
Everybody's really working hard. So we're translating the Sunday morning and Sunday evening services. And so the guy that's doing the translation has been here for 6 years, and he's from Estonia.
Okay.
And a lot of the people in the church that speak Japanese help him. So he's translating. I speak in English, and the common language, everybody speaks some English.
Okay.
But we've got representatives of Europe and China and Japan and America, and it's just one family. We don't have anything in common but Jesus is enough.
So let me know in the comment section down below what your biggest takeaway from this conversation was. And if you're looking for a church and you're in the Tokyo area, then make sure you check out Potter's House Church. I'll leave a link to that in the description box down below. And also, if you're looking to learn Japanese the fast and fun way, then make sure you check out my free Japanese cheat sheet. Inside this cheat sheet are the 5 foundations I wish I knew when I was first getting started out. And until next time everyone, stay waku waku.